My name is Rohini, and I'm so delighted to be hosting this panel for you at MAMI. It's an absolute honor, and thank you, Mac, for putting this together. If you guys have settled down, I'll give you a minute, and immediately then I'll call on my wonderful, wonderful panel. Thank you. In no order of preference or love, may I please call upon Shriya Pilgaonkar, Rasika Dugal, Maanvi Gagroo, and Sayani. Hello, hello, hello. Hi. Okay, so we'll all stand together and thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Please have a seat. Please have a seat. Thank you so much for joining me today. So we're going to be talking about, being amazing creators, and I'm going to get straight into it. Again, no order of preference or love. Shriya is right here, so I'm going to start with you, Shriya. Any character of Shriya played in the last couple of years that resonated with you or you loved? Character name. That's what I want. Sweetie? Sweetie? Kasha for you? Kasha for you? Okay, for you too. Amazing. Madhu? Madhu is amazing as well. Any preferences, guys? Which character do we speak about? Kashaf! All right there. Okay, so we're going to start off by asking you, how does one actually, as an actor, participate in the creative process and become a co-creator for a character like Kashaf?
It's actually such a privilege when you do get the opportunity to be a co-creator, and I think all of us here enjoy that process the most, when we're able to sit down on the drawing board and from scratch be made to feel that we're involved in the characters. I've actually been very fortunate to have directors who have been collaborative, you know. And it's not just about what the text brings to you. I think several times when I'm approaching my character, I love to ask questions which are completely mundane. What would my character be doing on a Sunday afternoon? I mean, you're not going to watch that in the show. But I think these conversations, my director, Shefali Bhushan, we would chat for hours about who Kashaf is. So I think sometimes I'm not very cerebral about my characters. I feel like I like to get an instinctive sense of who these people are, befriend them. But I do think that in order to feel that synchronicity with the character, it's very, very important to make the person your own. Because on text, of course, writers do a fantastic job. That's the most important job, to give you a sense of who these people are. But I do feel like if it's that character, we'll all play it differently. So how does Shriya make Kashaf her own? And it's something I often ask myself, because I remember last year I had the opportunity to play, say, a lawyer in Guilty Minds, or a sex worker in Taza Khabar, and in Broken News, a news reporter. And I was very careful about one thing, that none of it should come across repetitive, since they happen to be back-to-back releases. And when I discussed this with a colleague of mine, she said to me, "But that's your responsibility to just make sure that the personalities are very, very different." So, yeah, if that answers your question.
Yeah, I think it more than does. Thank you so much for that. A big hand for that, please. That's amazing. नीति जी आपसे तो बात करनी ही पड़ेगी.
Yes, Madam Sir.
Yes, Madam Sir. Oh my God. Can we give it up for Delhi Crime?
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Emmy bhi jeet liya, matlab Ammi, this is amazing. So, same question for you, all right? What is it that you would do, or in this case specifically, you did do, so that character is Rasika playing this character?
There's some parts you read which you instinctively connect with, and they're interesting to you for that. With Neeti Singh, I felt that she really reminded me of myself in my college days, where I was so idealistic. I believed that hard work could change the world. And yeah. And that I could change something in society. So Neeti does start out like that. And I felt that when I was in film school, the one thing I told myself was that I won't salute incorrectly. if I'm ever given a police officer's role, I'll never wake up with makeup. Those were the two things that I had told myself I would never do. And so when we started shooting for Delhi Crime, I had a very, very short period to prepare for it because it was all put together very last minute. The entire project sort of came together miraculously last minute. So I really wanted to shadow a police officer who was in the same position as Neeti Singh was, which is a probationer officer in police language. So I found this wonderful girl, and I shadowed her in season 1. And then she was promoted to the same position that Neeti Singh is promoted to in season 2. So when I called her up for season 2, of course, first she said, तुमने सब गलत किया पुलिस ऑफिसर्स ऐसे नहीं होते हैं तुम में वो स्मार्टनेस नहीं थी जो पुलिस ऑफिसर्स में होनी चाहिए सो आई हैड टू लिसन टू अ लॉन्ग लेक्चर एंड आई सेड ठीक है दैट वाज माय इंटरप्रिटेशन सॉरी बट कैन आई कम एंड यू नो बी अ फ्लाई ऑन द वॉल इन योर ऑफिस दिस टाइम कैन आई डू इट रॉन्ग अगेन सो शी सेड हाँ आ जाओ इस बार मैं अच्छे से बताती हूँ कि क्या करना है. So then I went and spent about 4 days with her again when she was ACP. This time she was posted in Chandigarh, and she was generous enough to. And by then we were friends, so I guess she was also comfortable that I'm just sitting in her office and watching her all day. And the kind of things that people bring to a police officer's office is just. It's very funny at one level and very heartbreaking also because it's like मैडम नेबर के साथ झगड़ा हो गया उसने कचरा इधर रख दिया मैंने बोला था यहाँ that's one and then the next moment you're sitting through a murder interrogation so you're like what is happening this day is quite bizarre you know so it's those kind of things and I could see the transformation in her and I hoped to sort of bring that into Neeti Singh. So that was the kind of work that went into the police procedural part of it. But like I said, I connected with her instantly anyway. But also the things that I saw in this officer who I shadowed and the way she was transforming, that also sort of found its way into playing the character.
Thank you so much for sharing. That's amazing. Siddhi Patel is a mood. Siddhi Patel would be me if I was rich.
Same. If I was that
अगर मैं ये
rich.
मिडिल क्लास माटूंगा की लड़की नहीं होती ना then I would be Siddhi Patel. What helps Siddhi Patel, I feel, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is also the mother figure and the father figure. That family unit, I think, comes together so beautifully. Does it help? I'm just changing the question a little bit for you. Does it help when you have co-actors who are there to give you your astitva? You know, like a Neeti, it's probably not there, right? Like you don't know what her parents look like, even with a Kashav. But I think, does that work to your advantage? Did you enjoy that process of building it as a unit with 2 more actors there for you?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, first of all, I just want to say I'm loving this panel in general. Like when I heard that, there's the 4 of us and you, I was like, we can shoot this in my living room. Like they're all friends, so I'm super excited. Also, thank you for introducing us as creators and not female creators. So, because you can see we are females, but yeah. Now to answer your question, I think with me, somehow it just happens that while I'm acting, I tend to form similar relationships with my co-actors as my character does in the show or the film. So, and that the same thing happened with Simone and Fahad. Both of them, they're also, they're older, so they anyway had a slightly more protective vibe around me. Simone is extremely motherly, quite contrary to her image on screen. She's so it just. I think automatically there's a sense of us being a family unit. All our scenes are together. Even when we're shooting with the girls, Simone and Fahad don't know them that well, right? Like I know them. I've been shooting with them, and I tell them that this one is this one's that. So there's a sense of closeness there that comes naturally, I think. But there's also obviously a lot of it that's already there in the text. So
I love the arc that it takes, and all of us. I mean, as women, you will echo this sentiment. We have tough relationships with our mothers, right?
Yeah.
And I think that where you come in the show, and then you tell her how to lead her life,
Yeah.
and not to really worry about it. I think it really resonated with all of us.
Yeah.
That switch of power in that sort of situation. How was that for you to do? Like, did you borrow from anywhere else in real life ever?
So, the fact that we shot it through the pandemic, and I think the pandemic for me was this realization of just for everyone actually, just the concept of mortality, right? And we are all living away from our parents, and I was very scared for my parents. They were in Delhi, and Delhi was in a really bad condition during the second wave. So I remember, and there's also in general, as we are growing older, as we are evolving, there's a sense of seeing our parents as people and not just like the parents that we grew up with. They are people, they're flawed, but they've always had the best intentions. That you know all of these things, but you start to realize it when certain things happen to you. So I think this whole journey of Simone's character, starting on a new note, on a new romantic note, or a companionship note. I think somewhere as Siddhi, I was like, yeah, why not? Like, she should be allowed that. It also comes from a female perspective, right? That she's someone who's had to deal with restrictions all her life, also the generation and all she belonged to. So suddenly you feel like, I want to support that. I want to, as the daughter, and if the daughter is supporting her, who else does she need to convince? So it's the opposite of what happens with kids, right? We say the same, not opposite, it's exactly the same actually. When we, as kids, we want our parents to be on our side, the world can go take a hike, and everything else will fall into place. It's the same with parents as well. So I think there was a little bit of drawing of just that idea of seeing our parents as individuals as well, which came from my own life, and the text.
It was very powerful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Also, we hadn't seen it, so beautifully done. So, congratulations.
Thank you.
Just taking a minute before I come to you, Shayot, but this is the crossover we do need, which is Mirzapur meets Former Shot, please. Oh, yeah. This is. Look at that, guys. That's what you should be tweeting or putting out in the gram at this point, saying, you're not dead, you're never dead. I stopped watching that show after you died.
Flashback, no? We'll do. Your
In
backstory.
another life, but very exciting. Shayani, I have a special place in my heart for Damini. Oh my God. I mean, that girl is so special because, first of all, these girls have jobs. I mean, it's really refreshing. Also, she has a job that she works really hard at. It's very important to her. So you see that side of her life, and then how it kind of takes a toll on the sort of working woman side of her life as well. Apart from the fact that, of course, there's a point where you get to romance Milan Soman, woohoo, yeah, which is great. I mean, it's great to have eye candy and the other sex as well. Amazing. There's so many things this show did for me. What did it do for you personally? Did you read that? Did it leap out the page saying, finally, tick, 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 tick?
First of all, hi. This feels like home, actually, no? When I first read the script of Fomo Shots, Damini, they had come to me for Kavya's part, actually. This was 2017, and I sort of felt, why should I do a part? Kavya was lovely, but I didn't want to be a smaller part in a show with 4 amazing women. And Damini really sort of jumped out of the pages for me. I loved her from the get-go. I said, listen, I'd love to play Damini. Where they said, no, we want a bigger name, and, it needs to be a star. And, they were sort of grappling with a few names and things like that. And I was like, okay, good for you, but I will have to let go of this, which Rongita, who's one of the creators and producers, she completely understood. 1st of Jan, she called me saying, will you be Damini for us? And yeah, and sorry? Nice New Year. Yeah, nice New Year's. And I actually thought that, why is she calling me to say wish me? We're not that pally that she's gonna call me on the 1st of Jan.
Hey man, anything is better than getting a WhatsApp that says Happy New Year.
So, but it was a great news, and I said, listen, I don't have dates. I'm going to work it out, which I did. And Damini for me was exceptional because, one, she's really strong, but also she's really flawed. And it's so liberating for all of us as creators, as people who are, mere mediums also, to sort of bring these characters from written pages and, these kind of translucent beings to solid beings. And we are the last people to sculpt those characters out, all of us, right? So it takes, obviously it's way more challenging, way more fun when you get multi-dimensional characters, it's really boring to play, a character who's all goody two shoes, or somebody who's like a vamp and she has nothing, because in real life human beings are not like that. Everyone has different shades to them. So Damini really was exciting. Also the fact that she was extremely political and she had so much agency. I really sort of resonated with that. And the first time I was reading the script, there was a 5-page scene where Dr. Varsi was looking for her G-spot, and I knew Milind Soman was playing the character, so I was like, it's not gonna hurt, really.
Were you there in that reading that I had to read your part?
No,
here?
I wasn't
you
there
weren't
in the
there,
reading
no?
because-
So
yeah.
they made me read that part because all the other girls were gushing. They're like, Maanvi. And I was very like, guys, relax,
Yeah.
He's a regular person, just chill. And then I read, and he had one line, and something to the on the lines
Your
of you have
vagina
a-
is perfect.
Yeah, your vagina is perfect. Something, and he said it also like that, and like he's like left the script, and he just looked at me and he said, "Whatever, your vagina is perfect." And I was just like, and all the girls are like, and I was like. And I went full red and everything, and they're like, "See, you're blushing now," and I'm like, "Because you idiots are acting like this." Like,
You're blushing right now.
Is this panel becoming about objectifying Milind
Yeah.
Soman?
yeah. Quickly is.
It's about
But-
time.
But can I tell you, you should never meet people you like or have crushes on, because that never, especially men.
Because then you work with them and
No,
then
no,
it's
no.
just, oh yeah, okay,
Yeah.
they get normalized. That's the problem.
They do, and I was actually on set. I was the only one not gushing, and I'm like, lines pata hai
you
tumhe?
and I both.
Yeah, but
Don't lie,
so
guys. Come
no, really,
No,
and I actually became the mother because he would not know where this came, because he would never read the scenes or the script. So yeah, I was more like a school teacher, really. So yeah.
I'm going to pick up on something you said a little while earlier, and I'm going to take it across the room. When you said, when someone calls you and says, I want you to play this part, and you say, no, I want to play this part. Okay? I think there's something so affirmative there, and it's not coming from a place of ego. I think as women, we've been taught to not be ambitious. We've been told in our middle class values that being ambitious is incorrect. How do you negotiate that for yourself? Like being correctly ambitious and asking for what you deserve, whether it's the money, whether it's the part, whether it's the film, whether it's the role. And is it okay to ask?
I think it comes from self-worth. And as you rightly said, well, I was really lucky that I was brought up in a Bengali household where, and mostly primarily by women, who said the first thing you need to do is stand up on your own 2 feet respectfully. And marriage was never sort of, a question, a conversation. All that mattered was good education, a respectful way of life, and your career. So, and all the women in my family, including my grandmother, were very ambitious. So I come from there. So I think, when the foundation is such, it's easier. But I've always sort of found easier to say no. And I think it's really important, not just as women, but also as human beings, to say no and stand your ground. It only comes when you are confident and you're not insecure about, if I say no, what if I don't get a better thing or something like this? We are actors, we get sort of similar parts. There are many times when, I would not do one part and one of them will do it, one of them will say no to, I will do it, And I believe that whatever is meant to come to you will come to you. And I think education also, helps in building that, or sort of, solidifying that idea. And I know what I bring to the table, and I would only do parts where I find it, it's not about smaller or bigger parts. It has to excite me as a performer. And as Shriya said, I wouldn't do something that is similar to anything I have done in the past, at all. And that's why one has been able to build a body of work which is, sort of varied. And I think saying no is way more important than saying yes. And as you grow older, I think it's one of those coverage that you realize is not just in terms of work, but in every relationship, because boundaries are the most important things we realize to live in society and as human beings.
वो कहा जाता ना कि पैसे हाँ बोलने के नहीं मिलते, ना बोलने के लिए मिलते हैं. That's the, ये मेरी लाइन नहीं है, किसी और ने कहा है. You know, often, like you mentioned, if you don't value yourself, others are not going to value you, and you only realize this with experience in the film industry, and this can happen sooner for some people and later for some people. And it really is not about arrogance. I mean, you're absolutely right. It's not about arrogance, but it's truly accepting, understanding, and being comfortable with telling yourself that I think this is what I deserve. And you're not going to get everything you want each time. But then there are times when you have to stand up for yourself. You have to watch out for yourself, to be honest, every single time. And that struggle or that process, it's starting from the scratch every time, on every project, for the smallest thing.
And just to
Also-
add, sorry, just to add to that, because a lot of people say, oh, now you are at a place where you can say no. I completely disagree. When I had 10 rupees in my pocket and I was starting out back in 2012, I said no as much as I say yes, in terms of, maybe I was getting 10 things then, I'm getting 40 things now, but it's not about money. It's not about the amount. It's not about the quantity. It's knowing what you deserve and where you want to be.
No, I just wanted to add that sometimes also what happens is, if you're just honest about what it is that you don't like about that part or that project or whatever, they might fix it. So you need to have that conversation, because it's happened with me where I've been offered parts or I've been offered a script which I don't agree with, or certain parts of it I don't agree with, and so instead of saying a blanket no, I tell them that, okay, listen, I don't want to do this because this character does this or whatever, the story goes here, and they're like, oh, okay, we can fix that. I mean, we did it because of this, but sure, we can try this, and then you're like, oh, okay, and the problem's gone. And so I think it's very important to assert yourself, but assert it in a way that doesn't come from a place of arrogance, doesn't come from a place of insecurity, but it comes from like an artist's way, and it usually the problems we have with the project are those. I mean, money and all can be figured out. Like, it's the creative stuff that bothers us and drives us to say no in the first place.
And you can tell very early on if the team is open to listening.
Exactly.
That's an
exactly.
immediate
If they're
sign.
collaborative enough, yeah.
So when you feel like they're going to listen to you, you feel more comfortable to be completely honest about what you want.
These are things that I struggle with constantly and with every project. It's not something that I feel I have control over or I know my way around even today. In fact, I feel that when I started out, I would more easily make braver decisions than I do today because there was less to lose. And the stakes are just higher now. So, and plus, I think over the years, I've become more accommodative and I want to listen to different ideas and points of view, and I'm trying to understand where the other person is coming from. And that is confusing. It takes time to sort of understand what your course of action in this particular project for what you are asking for needs to be. How much do you need to assert, and when do you have to just say that, okay, fine, I will not have what I want. Maybe that's better for the project. So those are very hard decisions to make, and I constantly struggle with it. I think it's one of the hardest parts of our jobs, and I don't know if I'm making correct decisions or not, but ठीक है, चलेगा.
Correct or not, chal raha hai.
It's so easy to say that if there is a female director, then things could be better for female creators, right? It's easy to say that. It's easy to say that. But I'd like to believe that we're in 2023 and it's no longer about, as much as it's not about, the women, it's also not about the men. So I'm going to ask each of you to specify one director that you worked with and why that creative process was so great for you. So it's like choosing between your Johars and your Bansalis. You're going to piss someone off. So, so if you can give us one instance of someone you worked with who actually lent themselves to being a co-creator with you and how.
Just because I'm sitting here, all the questions are coming to me first. Okay. Um, what comes to my mind immediately is I've shot intimate scenes before in different projects, but shooting an intimate scene with Shefali in Guilty Minds was a completely different experience. And I can say this very objectively that the scene we have is one of the most beautiful scenes I've seen, from the Indian context. And I'll tell you why I felt that was different.
I love that scene. I waited the full series to get over to reach there.
Really? The tension was a lot. And in that scene, these characters, I mean, there was really nothing. It was just a build up. But I remember I was told, just don't even be aware about the camera, just go with the flow. There are so many moments in that scene where the camera, like my face is squashed on like Varun's shoulder and it's awkward, but the camera's there. It's there. It's not telling me, "Acha, facing though, look here." It's not. No, I feel like it felt so natural to me because the camera was trying to find itself in that moment. It was not trying to get me to position myself in a certain way. So while most of the directors I've worked with in terms of in terms of filming other scenes, I've had a good experience. Barring one, I've not really had any terrible experience, thankfully. But shooting with a woman for that particular scene, especially, I felt that difference while talking to her about it. You guys have done, like, in terms of intimate scenes, for sure.
I say I have a PhD in intimate scenes. In fact, the intimacy coordinator, like Astha and her team, has been asking me to come do workshops for them for other people. I mean, when it comes to intimate scenes, honestly, I think it's like an action scene. It's as technical as that. And it's choreographed. If you are, also depends on what kind of scene. For example, when we did Margarita, there was, I mean, the main sex scene between Kalki and me. There was a circular track, and they kept going on and on and on and on and on, and it just went on for, like, it felt like an hour, but they rolled it till the card ran out. And it was very strange, and both Kalki and I found ourselves, because also one person was a passive player, right? Because she has cerebral palsy in the film and she can't really do much. And it was, Khanum, my character, who was doing things to her. And at some point, I ran out of things to her. I literally had, and I was like, man, like, really, I'm running out of ideas here. Guys, help me. But you couldn't sort of, let it show. And it wasn't, we were both at a state where we felt kind of borderline violated. Now, nobody's fault, right? But because, again, the camera was kind of there but not there, and probably the direction team was waiting for, to get everything out in one take so that we don't have to do it again. Well, they did have to do another take and cut close. But so there could be times when you're sort of pushed, to the boundary. I remember I did one short film called Yaman, which is now a feature called Sahela at Mami, and there I was playing the woman, but Raghu, who's the director, he was auditioning 3 actors with me. And there is one scene where I come drunk and I force myself on the man, okay? And it was a really long scene. There were many sort of beats of emotions through the scene, and I had to do it with 3 men on one day. And it was not just emotional, but also sexual, right? And I had told Raghu, like, do we have to do this, And he said, no, I need to see the other actor in that. And that day, I truly felt exploited and spent, Because, it wasn't really anyone's fault. It wasn't Raghu's fault. I mean, he needed to see it. But as an actor, and we are not people, we are not actors, none of us sitting here do things half-heartedly. You know, if you do it, you would, because it's not also fair on the other actor, right? So you have to give your everything to be able to sort of, because acting is really give and take. And that day I will never forget in my life, because every time I had to feel as vulnerable and really go there each time with 3 different people. So, you know, it almost felt like, you know, I'm here as an actor, but I don't know exactly what I'm doing. So, you know, times like that can be hard. Once I was, sorry, it's not funny at all, but it was for a short film called Leeches, and there was this 65-year-old man who was in the scene, sort of, you know, on top and raping this girl, and I was playing the girl. And the director actually left the room saying, "Tum kar lo." And I had to direct him to what he needed to do to me in the scene. So actors go through so many kinds of things while, you know, it may seem all hunky-dory and, you know, and fun and, you know, but it's not. And really, and what we don't talk about is the toll, the emotional toll, the psychological toll that it may take on you. You know, sorry, your question was completely different, but we've come to something else. But yeah.
Thank
I
you for
have a
sharing.
lot of things to say on this topic. No, so one, I think it's not fair entirely to compare men and women as directors.
Not at all.
Yeah, yeah. No, also because, you know, like during the night, I see like a lot of directors, female directors, who came during the 90s or early 2000s. They didn't get a lot of work, right? Readily. Nobody was willing to back them up as directors. So they had to kind of fight their way through. And now that they're getting it, they've become a little hardened, you know, like they've learned, or they've conditioned themselves in a way that, okay, we need to be a quote unquote masculine to be taken seriously on a set. But I see a lot of that is shedding as well, you know, and that can only happen with time and with more work. I think that is one thing, one reason why we can't compare them on the same scale. But I feel that, like for example, with Four More Shots, there was an all-female crew pretty much in season 1 and 2, and we became too open. Like so there were times where we were like, okay, there's that one guy, we might be making him feel uncomfortable, you know, because we were just saying anything. We were talking about bras and periods and sex and everything, like so openly, like we do with our girlfriends. So I think, and we had to remind ourselves that it's still a place of work. So there's definitely a comfort level with female directors or female heads of departments and all of that. I think, but I've also had I've been very lucky to have worked with some amazing male directors as well. Like, I remember there was we did this one show, Sizzle directed it. He's an ad filmmaker. This was his first long format. And there was one scene which I read in a particular way. And then when I went on set, I saw the setup was completely different. And I was like, oh, this is how we're doing it. Because I had a completely different take in my mind. And he's like, what did you think? And I told him, I thought, yeah, first part will be shot from here. Second part will be a top angle. He's like, okay, let's do it that way. And then I'm like, oh my God. And, and I'm like, no, I don't want this. What if the scene doesn't look good? Like, I don't want that responsibility. He's like, no, let's do it. And he changed the entire setup. Like, we took another half an hour, 40 minutes, and a lot of like worry on my side because I'm telling, yeah, and I'm telling Naveen was my co-actor, and I'm like, Naveen, you better make this scene work.
Acha
'cause
karna.
now, yeah. So I think it's just with OTT coming in, with this new wave of creators coming in, actors and directors and everyone, there's a general sense of collaboration that has come in, which I feel wasn't present in the earlier years. So there's a general sense of, okay, let's do it together. We're a team. Let's do it together, which is always very rewarding as actors.
Thank you for sharing. Rasika?
I don't know which part to answer right now, but
I love this. It's a GD, you know.
yeah, but just to pick up from what Shayoni said, because I'm a little disturbed by yeah, it's very hard as actors to negotiate anything when you're shooting, you know, because the ask of the job is vulnerability, and you have gone there to be vulnerable. You have said कि आज मैं कुछ experience करने आई हूँ और आज मैं कुछ share करने आई हूँ. You know, that is what you've gone with. You've gone with an open heart, and you've said that here I am, and today I'm going to be my best vulnerable self. And it is very difficult if people around do not respect that, basically, you know. And it's very hard for you in that position to also have another side which is watching, which is saying that while I'm being vulnerable, I will also be careful that nobody disrespects me. It's not easy to be that those two things at the same time, and we are very often in those positions as actors, and even with experience, it's very difficult. So I mean, that's all I have to say about it. I don't know how to negotiate it, etc. You know. So yeah, I'm sorry for all the bad experiences we've
No, but
had,
you
and
know,
I'm
just to-
happy for all the good experiences. we've
Just to
had.
add to that, and you can't, it's not about man woman, first of all, okay?
course.
I was a part of a film called Jolly LB2 where I had to be vulnerable, and there was an emotional scene that everyone talks about still. I mean, a lot of people talk about. You know, that director gave me that space and gave me that safety net. He didn't tell me much, and as an actor, I'm somebody who sort of really thrives when I'm trusted. You've hired me for a reason, and if you trust me, I'm going to give my life for you, you know, and quite literally. But when what Rasika said, you know, when you are being vulnerable, you just need that one person, which is actually your director, because you know, after every take, you just, you know, it's like a little baby looking for the mother everywhere. As actors, we are, no matter where you're just looking for the director, and if he or she is not next to the monitor, and you're like, kahan gaya bhai, you know, and it's just one look. It's nothing. You know, there are some directors who be like, fantastic. You don't want that. Okay.
And some will be watching the IPL while you're shooting.
Oh my God. Oh my God. We both worked with him.
my God.
Yeah.
They both worked with him. Or her. I don't know.
No, but you know, that's why you need a guardian angel of sorts, and your director is that. And that you want to be vulnerable, but you also want to feel safe. And that is really the balance that actors want, you know, from the director, male or woman, or any gender. Gender doesn't rap, but non-binary.
I have
come
to
on.
say that a film's set is a very delicate place, because everybody has come to collaborate, but filmmaking is what is amazing about filmmaking. It's a deeply personal exercise as well as a collaborative one. So
beautiful,
everybody
absolutely.
has come to it with something they want to achieve and very sincerely achieve, but it's somehow not matching with what the other person wants, and it's heartbreaking, you know. And sometimes it's very hard. You watch people just go puss in front of you because the directors made the decision that okay, today it's the actor who gets first preference, who gets their way. And but most other days the light is going, whatever. Like my Suchin is here, so I've remembered this story, which Suchin reminded me of the last time we did an interview. Was I constantly wanted another take for things in Delhi Crime, because I always want one more take. But so I was feeling shy to ask for it, so I had a pact with my DOP that because when things go technically wrong, na, everybody says, when the DOP says the shot is not good, everybody says, "Ha, chalo, chalo, let's take it." The actor says the shot is not good, they're like, why? Why do you want another? So I had a pact with my DOP. I said, listen, when I'm not happy with the take, I'll just tell you, and you tell them the focus is off. Into another one.
I like it. Yeah. I mean, there are different ways to ask in this case. You know, recently, Rajshri, who's not here at this point, but I'm completely in love with what she posted about, you know, saying that it takes actors, you know, 1.5 lakh rupees to look and present ourselves the way we do. Because, you know, there's not just the actors on the screen, it's the actors off the screen as well. We're here at a panel enabled by Mac. Thank you, Mac. You know, so, no, but I want to know, as actors who need to make these appearances and look a certain way, मांगे हुए कपड़ों में मैं हमेशा बहुत अच्छी लगती हूँ, so I'm grateful. But you know, Mac did the makeup today for me, right? So again, I'm grateful. But is there a pressure, you know, for you to step out, or you know, just cave under this? Like, how does it work for you individually? I'm not expecting. It's a very big discussion. All right, so I'm not going to get into this. We could discuss that for the next 1 hour. But the truth is, we have about, you know, 10 minutes. So just quickly, I'm going to start with you and ask you, what do you feel about this?
Firstly, I think all of us resonated with the heart of that post. and the heart of Rajashree's post. And I think if some of do you know what we're talking about? She spoke about how a lot of that pressure ends up coming when you're spending so much events, all of that. So of course, everybody is entitled to do and feel what they want to do. Wo ek taraf. But my the basic thing that I feel very strongly about is that this narrative that actor banna hai to ye karna padega. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. Actor बनना है तो इतने followers होने चाहिए. I don't agree with that. Actor बनना है तो do we need to work and hone our craft? Yes. Do we need to focus on that aspect? Yes. But I think that we don't talk about that process. Instead of talking about looks and talking about Instagram and social media, which of course is a very important part, but that is not the basic. That is not what your legacy is going to come from. Maybe it's an idealistic way of looking at things. I don't know. Having said that, I love to dress up. There are some events where I feel like I need to spend definitely not a lakh. I have a way of budgeting and managing things. Which is which is perhaps, I may not go through my stylist. I'll directly go to the brand. That's just because I'm comfortable doing that. But having said that, there are so many times when we're just styling ourselves, and that's just a personal opinion. I don't think there's anything right or wrong, because I feel like if there are some people who want to go that route, who want to spend that money, fair enough. I think it's on them. But it should not be a prerequisite, because I do believe that sometimes agencies, especially talent management agencies, put this narrative out there that you will have to do this. So I think overall that discussion needs to be a little clear. Yeah, but personally I don't stress myself about it.
No, more or less the same. That same. But I wanted to, I decided that whenever I post a picture of this outfit, I'm going to dedicate it to Rajshri and her caption, because this is again something I styled myself, and I thought that this will be an homage to what she said, because what Shriya was saying, that it is. There is I feel there is a pressure, in not pressure, but there is an expectation from you as an actor that you're not taken seriously, which is ridiculous, right? Like, because this is I mean, you see my work or whatever. If you judge me on my work as much as you want, and I don't have a problem with that, or we'll come to that problem later. But judging me for my looks, or what am I wearing when, and then and like I have missed events because I didn't feel like dressing up, or I didn't have, but so can you imagine, like we were just discussing earlier also, that there are times when you don't want to, you're just like, no, I'm not in the mood to dress up. And then there are times when I'm very excited about dressing up. It's human nature, right? So, but just to start pegging, you as an actor, and equating that to how you're looking or what you're wearing, even. It's not even, I mean, you could be looking stunning, but your mental health is like down the drain. Nobody cares about that. Nobody, you could be, or yeah, like, just, I think just reducing that. And I feel, again, that's more pronounced for women, than I've started noticing this, and please, I'd urge you all to notice this. Like, there are guys who show up in like ripped jeans and sneakers and t-shirt. That's all, and they're looking, and nobody has a problem with that. But but if a girl goes to a screening, I mean, I have been to screenings in jeans and t-shirts also, but it's also like, okay, like there are times that they won't even like pay any heed to you, but the minute you come in like this fancy ass dress and with hair and makeup and heels and all, and suddenly everybody is like, oh, including the paps, including the people organizing the screening, everyone. So the whole system is designed like that. And yeah, I don't know how to how I don't know how big a problem it is in this larger scheme of things, because there are a lot of problems outside of this also. So and I don't know what the solution is either. But I think, like Shriya said, to each their own. Like, as long as you're being authentic, you're being who you are, try and push for that, and just Yeah.
You know,
Try and have
honestly,
fun.
it's hard to make that call because of what is expected of you, as Manvi said. There were these months where there were so many events happening and so many red carpets happening, and each event, and I did the math at one point. I was like, oh my god, I'm earning, but I don't have any money in my bank account. Like, what's going on? And I realized I was spending 90K every event. Okay, hair, makeup, costume, and it's not even enough when you wear costumes, because nowadays everyone is expecting you to have those photographs. So
Photographs and reels
yeah, and all of that, right? So then photographers, so it's constantly expanding, right? And it goes from your pocket. And so I got really, I was like, dude, I have no money to spend anymore. I'd rather eat khao ki achhi dikhu. So, and then I stopped going to events, because then I was like, and they were like, you're getting an award. I said, but I don't have the money to come and accept that award.
Can you pay me
I
convince?
swear. I think I was getting an award yesterday or day before. I didn't have the money to go because I was like, dude, I'm really broke. I can't accept this award. I'm really sorry, okay?
It's a 4-hour
real thing.
process.
So my solution is I mean, I do my own hair, makeup, I wear a sari, it looks fine, and I'm more than happy to style myself. But you come to that, and all of us will come to a point where we would say enough is enough. We prioritize what is important for us and what's, like she said, is doing to our mental health. Because you can't be like, listen, you're telling me I look great, there are n number of likes on Instagram, but will that really suffice for what I'm going through? Because I'm really stressed because I won't be able to make my rent next month, you know?
Rasika, I think we've all spoken. सब बोल दिया ना सबने. नहीं लेकिन जरूरी था यार. I really needed, because I think that first of all, very few actors are even able to be vocal. Okay, so when she said that, and we had this panel today, I said we must talk about it. Just acknowledging each other, in our opinions also. Just talking about this kind of like lifts her opinion as well, right? And it's a conversation that needs to be had. So thank you so much, each one of you, for pitching in.
Just remembered something. Oh, whenever you're on the red carpet, often the first question asked is, "Hi, who are you wearing?" And once I said, "Ghar ke kapde hain ye mere." Ghar ke kapde, I don't know. You check. Apne kapde. And my mother
I'm
said
wearing
this
my
to me.
closet, yeah.
No, and when my mother sees the process of getting ready for us, once she looked at me, she said, "I feel so bad for you. You 4 hours, you're stressed." She said that I wouldn't have been able to do what you guys do now, because often, honestly, I mean, I love my job. We like to get ready, but somebody needs to come and see behind the scenes of what happens in those 4 hours before it's a mess.
It's too hard. I'm never doing this again. All right. I think we have about 5 or 8 minutes, and it'll be amazing if we can get a couple of questions in. So I'm just going to ask my volunteers to hand mics to people. It'll be great if you can quickly introduce yourself. Direct the question to one person and keep it short.
Yeah, good afternoon to everybody. It's anybody can answer. Because
No, you have to ask a question. I just gave you an instruction.
Okay, it's to Sayani. Just now you have spoken about your struggle with the Instagram or posting this one. Vice versa, many production houses are now taking social media influence who have got highest followers. So your take on that one. How is that?
As actors, we're ecstatic about it. What do you think? No, I mean, it's ridiculous, right? I mean, not just as actors, but also casting people. Our casting director friends constantly keep telling us, listen, we are pushing for this person because he fits the part or she fits the part, or but the production house is like, no, but the other person has 200, whatever, a million follower, so I mean, it's the problem of our time right now, but I hope that that's going to change, because, every now and then a new thing comes and we sort of struggle with it.
My answer is just let's see them act.
No, let's see them act, but also acting उतना ही चाहिए, honestly, यार. हम लोग, like, like Rasu was saying, honestly, after the first take, nobody even gives you a second take if there is no technical problem, and they're like, बहुत अच्छा किया, इससे अच्छा नहीं चाहिए हमें भाई, कोई नहीं देख रहा है. You as actors might want to be like, oh my god, मुझे करना है, मुझे बहुत character पे काम करना है. किसी को फर्क नहीं पड़ रहा है, and you can see it in the quality of the stuff we are making. So it's honestly hoping that it's going to pass, but we feel you, and please pray for us.
इनको देखना, इन बेचारों को देखना पड़ता है.
But what you can do in this is that please follow the actors that you like for their acting, not for their clothes, not for what diet they are following, but for their acting.
Guys, also all of you, please, all of you follow the 5 of us right now, so at least we have 30 more
Watch your
followers.
phones. We will check your phones at the exit.
Thank you so much. Our next question, do we already have a mic somewhere? Yes. Yes, ma'am.
My question is for Maanvi, basically. Oh, sorry. So basically, I loved Half Love, Half Arranged.
Oh, thank you.
And I wanted to talk about that because that is after a while where I've seen like screenplays not based in extreme poverty or extreme wealth.
Yeah.
It's a very regular middle class life, and it's the struggles that women have on a daily basis, which are as serious as life and death. And I love your friend that plays, I believe Shruti plays that character.
Shruti Jolly, yeah.
Yeah, and she is your piece of sanity in the whole thing. But just as a, just as a credit to you, my mom's a doc.
I'm
and
so sorry, my
I'm
love.
gonna-
As much as we want to have this personal conversation, could you ask the question?
Yeah,
Because we have very little time.
Okay,
Thank you.
So the question is, how many scripts are you getting, and are you seeing more of these middle class female friendship scripts? If you are seeing any, and would you like to see more?
Yes. Sorry, may I know your name, please?
It's Akshata.
Akshata.
Yeah.
Akshata, thank you for the question. I think it's, there are a lot of, I think there's, in our industry works on this thing that the minute something works, then everybody wants to do that. And they also want to do it with the same people because imagination is a bit of a struggle in our
Challenge.
in our industry. So yes, I'm getting, like you said, I'm getting a lot of scripts, but they're all like that only. Now every character I'm getting is a girl who wants to get married but is not getting married, so I'm like, but any other, you can, chalo, if you want to discuss marriage, that's fine, but there can be other issues with marriage, right? So let's talk about that. No, but they want that. But there are some, I think what, again, I would give credit to OTT in general for this, that suddenly there were a lot of these films that came out which were about middle class or relatable, to us. And even before, that was the problem, that the reason why OTT came was because there was no, for people like us, there was no relatable content. Movies were too unreal or whatever, too far-fetched, and television was something that we didn't really enjoy, unless like maybe with our parents at dinner time and stuff. So I think there was this void which OTT managed to fill, which was to tell relatable stories, which was to bring out relatable characters. So I think that is something that will stay, hopefully. And I hope to see that in mainstream Bollywood as well.
We have time for one last question and we'll squeeze it in depending on who has the mic. The gentleman at the back, right? In the glasses. Could you please send it to him? Thank you.
Hi, my name is Anuj. My question is for Shayoni. बहुत commonly
I thought it would be for Rasika actually.
okay. बहुत commonly हम देखते हैं actors जब पैसा बना लेते हैं successful हो जाते हैं तो they become producers themselves. Less of female actors. I'm not saying कि क्या सही है क्या गलत, वो question नहीं है. When you have enough money, when you have enough money in your bank and you're successful, would you love to be a producer one day yourself and create the stuff you want to do, not just as an actor, but run the filmmaking machinery the way you would love to see as an actor? Would you love to become a producer?
Thank you for that question. One thing I learned very early on in my life, sir, is never to put your own money. As producers, filmmaking...
I assume you have a lot of money.
Thank you. I look rich, but I'm not. So these days to produce a film, you don't need to put your own money. That's the financer's job. So the idea is to find people to, fund your film. But actually, it's my dream to be able to create environments and create projects and bring in like-minded people. I find great joy, creative joy in being able to do so. I've always done it, but I co-produced my first film where I had put in my money in 2018, and that's where I learned never put in your own money, because I'll never see that back ever again.
Which film was that? If you
It was
can-
a film called Where the Winds Blow. I was the only actor in the film, but even if it's other people, you know, I mean, that's not, we will never be rich enough to be, you know, sort of, and as creative people, we don't really understand money very well, except for Rasika, who did math honors from LSR.
No,
but she's at
but
least,
I want
she's
to, I
at
want
least
to
good
take
with
this
the-
for a second and
Yeah.
say that you're on the jury this year, and you've also directed, you know, in the past. So, do you think that that is something, you know, maybe she can answer that question for someone who wants to be part of the creative process? Does that still come into your sort of trajectory now that you're so busy being an actor?
So before I started acting, I was already making, in fact, a short film documentary, Dresswala, was an official selection at Mumbai Dimensions in Mami. So it's a full circle moment for me that I'm on the jury of the same category this year. But I remember when I started acting initially, on Instagram, my bio said filmmaker. And then when I started acting, it said actor and filmmaker. And then somebody told me, remove the filmmaker, because you're an actor now and you're starting off, so remove it. So I removed it then.
Put it back in.
When I direct my feature, I will do it. But I feel like I had that moment this year where I felt it's high time to take that creative control in your hands, because you're not always going to get projects that you like or you feel passionate about. And yes, that's a position of privilege that you may find yourself in. But I think when you do know people and you have that much experience, it may be a challenge, but I think all of us have thought about it at some point. This year, everybody's thought about it.
No, but
clearly.
also I am doing it, and hopefully we will have something soon. So yeah, God
Cast,
willing.
you have a cast here, by the way. Okay.
No, absolutely. And you know, Maanvi knows this, that I have parts written for all my friends. And you know, when you think of casting, like I want to work with all of them, you know, and create characters that you haven't seen them in ever. So that's really the exciting bit of it, right? So all
Wow.
of you.
I think this is such a great, and it's a great note to end on, to be honest, because we're looking ahead, we're looking forward, and we're also, you know, sorry, no pressure, but expecting more. so, so let's create the worlds and create the cinema that we wish to be a part of. You've been very honest, if nothing else. You know, so please give them a huge round of applause. Thank you for making time, and thank you so much for enlightening us and showing us a side that we probably never know. So on Instagram, especially. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
so
please
we'll do
enjoy
our-
the festival.
Yeah,
It's
please
one
enjoy the
of my
festival.
favorite festivals.